Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Kayena vacha chittena pamadhena maya katang acchayam kamami bhante bhuri panye tathagate. Kahine vacha chittene pamadine maya katang acchayam kamami dhamme sandittika akalika. Kahine vacha chittene pamadine maya katang acchayam kamami sange supatipanne anuttere. Let us sit for meditation. Taking a deep breath in, settling into the moment, relaxing the body and the muscle. As you bring yourself into a comfortable position for the practice, on a cushion or chair, your feet firmly in front of you. The body balanced in posture, the back upright, guiding your attention towards all the parts of the body from the head to the toes, being aware of each and every part of the body. As you gently allow each and every muscle across the body to relax, determining upon oneself to be in the present with what is of the now, putting aside the past and the future, as we bring our minds to a state of stillness based upon the present, being fully aware of all that is around you, the sound, the smell, the vibrations, the touch of clothing upon the body, the temperature. There may be so many thoughts pertaining the world, but with metta towards all those objects of the external world, with metta towards all that, guiding the mind inward, with metta towards the mind and the body, giving yourself this time of practice to contemplate, to heal, to see things as they are, to relieve oneself of all anxiety, all stress, all frustration, as we bring our mind to observe the sensations all across the body, arising momentarily, coming to see, arising and ceasing sensation, bodily sensation, mental sensation, directing the mind towards the topmost part of the head. Let us observe and note the sensation as they are. Sukha, dukkha, upekkha, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Moment, moment. See the way of sensations arising and ceasing all across the head, the muscles all around, from the head to the forehead, forehead to the eye, eyes to the nose, the nostrils, the tip of the nostril, the tip of the lips, Observe. Rushing through the body, observing each and every sensation and noting them for what they are: pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. You may at times observe even mental sensation. Remember, that all sensation, mental or physical, is impermanent, fleeting, fragile. Note these sensations closely. Observe, observe. facing each moment as anew, letting go of all and immediately take solace in the peace that comes about with no arising. The lesser the sankhara, the more peace, samadhi, observing the sensations without judgment, but simply noting each and every moment, simply noting, noting. As you observe sensation, guide your attention. Note the relationship between what is felt, the sensation, the mind, that which observes. Draw closer to observe the relationship between the mind and the body. Observe, observe. As you observe the mind and body, divert the mind to see the suffering caused by the chain, rising, ceasing condition. The adina of the sensation, mind, suffering, free the mind from the delusion of seeing oneself in the Vedana. I see the selfless anath of this present. Observe, observe, steadily guiding the mind, steady, Gently, let us now recollect the aspects of our practice, the five faculties, Indriya, the arising and ceasing of any hindrance. Recollect the aspects of the practice. Without judgment, through wisdom, discern the aspects of the practice. Gently, let us now radiate loving kindness, metta, towards this mind and body, to each and every fiber, gently, adverting through all external mind and matter, to all that experience any strife, in all and whatever condition. May all Dhamma, may all beings be well and happy, well and happy, well and happy. May all Dhamma condition arising and ceasing within being, may they be wholesome, may they be well, may all being be well and happy, be well and happy, be well and happy. Continue to radiate loving kindness towards all being, all being. Let us now gently become aware of our surrounding, the sensation, the sound, with loving kindness towards the whole process of the body and mind. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right. All right. So we focused on the Vedanas today. And when we speak about Vedana sensations, this is some not a new topic of our meditation. We have spoken of it, we have practiced this so many times before. But if we look at the Vedana from the basis of what the Paticcasamuppada would say, we go from Phassa Pacchaya Vedana. Phassa Pacchaya Vedana. Contact leads to the feeling that arises. And we know that Phassa and the function of Vedana, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, the four parts of the mental skandhas always arise together and they are codependent. The chittas and the cetasikas are codependent on one another, but the chittas in arising, they will always arise with the Vedana aggregate and the Samnya aggregate, without which the aggregate has no means of moving or arising within the next moment. It is molded with condition of the Tanha and Avijja. Hence, in the Paticca Samuppada, we see Phassa Pacchaya Vedana. Now, what more can we say when we say, in observing the sensations in your perspective of what your personal experience is, how do you relate to Phassa Pacchaya Vedana? Let me, I think now you should be able to unmute yourselves and uh, participate. When we say Phassa Pacchaya Vedana, now today we observed Vedana. Hence, Phassa Pacchaya Vedana, in observing the Vedana, we spoke of seeing deeper the relationship. What is the condition between the force between when a Vedana arises, what happens? Now, Phassa Vedana, based on the contact, Vedana arises. How is your experience with Phassa Vedana? Hmm? In observing the sensations? Hmm? How does it relate to you in any way, shape, or form? When we say Passa Pachaya Vedana, through contact occurs Vedana Damayanti, yes, Damayanti.
Yes, it immediately the liking, disliking, or is it neutral is the first thing which comes to your mind before proceeding beyond that, the Vedana, and and then afterwards you can, yes. Today it was mostly I have neutral, except the feeling of sensation of cold in my feet, which led to um, me, that is the slightest, but it also disappeared, that dislike to that as well.
Mm,
So that means that this is where the tanha arises, isn't it? That's how I felt.
mm, mm. This is where the Tanha rises.
Yes,
Yes,
because of
yes.
the Vedana, then you dislike comes, but then it went off. Actually, I didn't allow it to proceed forward,
Mm,
but I slightly thought if I had another pair of socks, would be better. Tanna.
yes, Tanha, Tanha, there as well. But එතනින්වත් තව යන්න පුළුවන්. Tanha, as you observe there, then of course the Tanha may cease to arise when අනිත් පැත්තෙන් දැන් if we talk about, okay, at that part, if we bring in a little bit of what we've learned with the power of technique, with the five faculties,
Mm.
there, the Tanha arising, on what did it arise? The Tanha arising, where do you point it towards?
To the mind.
No, Tanha rising five faculties
Ah,
හරහා.
my faculty.
දැන් ඒ
Yes.
වෙලාවේ හටගත්ත තණ්හාව මොන ඉන්ද්‍රිය ධර්මයේද වීගුණේ මේ තණ්හාව හටගන්න.
Mm,
නිකන් හිතන්න බලන්න.
the prajna, isn't it?
It can be different. It can be different to different people. Mm? Uh,
Mm.
do you
It's just
see?
an observation, isn't it?
It is a discernment.
Oh, yes.
It is a discernment. Then in the moment of recollection, right, the period of recollection that we do at the end, now let us say this particular instance with the socks or the temperature, or that particular instance. You can evaluate, discern the මෙතන මොන ඉන්ද්‍රියද මෙතන weak වුනේ. මෙතන ප්‍රඥාව weak වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. මෙතන තියෙන විරිය weak වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. ශ්‍රද්ධාව weak වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. සතිය weak වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. අනිත් සමාධියේ කොටස weak වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. To place now, the discussion becomes important to the yogi, neither to the yogi themselves. මෙතන when the samadhi chitta is present and it is saturated in the mind, ඒ කියන්නේ සමාධියමයි ඉන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ stable. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි කියමු සමාධිය කියන වචනේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැතුව සති සම්පජන්ණේ හොඳ firm, stable. Hmm? Firm, stable, if I may explain it more, the sati, or the position that we are in the present, we are comfortable with the status of the sati, meaning there are no ripples. Hmm? In a stage like this, we know everything to do with the cold or the heat or whatnot is maintained. Is maintained. The power of the practice in being there, because at any given point in time, the mind is able to find any door to proliferate sankhara. At any given point in time, even right now, we can find many distractions that may occur in the mind to drift us away from whatever point. That is the nature of the mind. When, let us say, The indriyas are balanced. The Shraddha in particular here, Shraddha pertaining to the ability of the meditation, the contemplation, that present moment object. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ object එක කෙරෙහි තියෙන ශ්‍රද්ධාව. When that Shraddha weakens, we doubt the ability of this Dhamma to maintain us. Maintain us. එතකොට මේ ධර්මතාවය උඩ තියෙන විශ්වාසය අඩු වෙනවා. අඩු වුණාම when it reduces, then the effort and all of the rest of the indriyas are unable to achieve a state of Tatramatjattatha over the object and the sati force that is present towards the object. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ force එක රඳා පවතින මේ force එකට තව වචනයක් කිව්වොත් hold on. If we use another name for the word force, it would be sati. This sati is maintained completely on intention.
Determination.
This intention, for example, if he would take in a moment where one is breathing naturally, the organic breath, the conditions that are present, and then what are the conditions that are present when the breath is no longer organic? Where we are now producing the breath or manipulating the breath ourselves. The conditions are different. Hence, meaning the pachayas, the different pachayas, because now there is intention here. The force, the conditions that are present there are maintained over this karmic force. The karmic force is produced at the moment Chetana arises, volition. Chetana ham bhikkhave kammang vadami. The volition, that Chetana. When that Chetana comes to light, now the Pachaya Sati is maintained over that force, before which the force was maintained not over volition, but what? But what was the force? Maybe you can take a guess. Then when the breath was with volition, right, then volition was the provider of the energy to what is the force, the sati. Okay. When there is no force of volition, when it comes to the organic breath, just as you are listening to me right now whilst you are breathing, that breathing, that particular breathing, what is the force behind that particular condition? What do you think? Please feel free to unmute yourselves and take a wild guess. That is fine. But if you can answer with confidence, that's fine as well. Oh, yeah.
Bante, I think it's sati. If you are in sati, you are aware of the breath at that moment.
නෑ. එනම් තේරුම් අරගෙන නැහැ.
Bante, is it?
ඒ කියන්නේ organic breath එක තියෙන අවස්ථාවයි අපි breath එක අපිම when we are changing the breath, manipulating the breath ourselves, අපිම උස්ම ගන්නවා.
Condition the Bante. Condition.
The condition is a force. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් condition එක මොකක්ද? What is the condition?
ජීවිතේන්ද්‍රිය දෙතන ඉන්නේ.
ජීවිතේන්ද්‍රිය force. It is a ජීවිතේන්ද්‍රිය force. ජීවිතේන්ද්‍රිය force, ඇයි ජීවිතේන්ද්‍රිය force එක කොහෙන්ද එන්නේ? Where does the ජීවිතේන්ද්‍රිය force then come?
the natural force of a living person, isn't it?
නෑ එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. එහෙම කියන්න බෑ.
එතන awareness.
පරමාර්ථ.
Yeah, Paramatma.
ඔතකොට ජීවිත ඉන්ද්‍රිය එන්නේ කොයින්ද? අනුම ඇයි එතන condition කියලා කිව්වේ කලින්? Which condition were you relating to? Just the dharmata? අනිච්ච දුක්ඛනාත්ම condition එකද? ධර්මතාවය කියන දේද?
ධර්මතාවය බන්තේ.
ධර්මතාවය. උතට ඒ
Yeah.
ධර්මතාවය ඒක ධර්මතාවයක් තමයි. ඒ වුණාට ඒ ධර්මතාවය පවතින හේතුවක් තියෙනවා. There is a reason behind that ධර්මතාවය for the existence of that because the ධර්මතාවය is a force. ඒ force එකට පන ඕන දෙයක් තියෙනවා.
තණ්හාවද බන්තේ?
දැන් දමයන්ති කිව්වනේ එතන දැන්
ජීවිතින්ද්‍රිය.
වලිෂන් එක නැති අවස්ථාවේදී තියෙන්නේ ජීවිතින්ද්‍රිය ෆෝස් එක. ජීවිතින්ද්‍රිය ෆෝස් එක එන්නේ කොහෙන්ද? ඒකට ශිරෝම තණ්හාව කියලා කිව්වේ.
Tanhava is what actually propels us to breathe for the next moment of existence.
හරි.
And Tanhava Nisani Vadua.
ඔව්. ඒක හරි. ඒ තාම තණ්හාවට ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. මොකද දැන් ජීවිත ඉන්ද්‍රියේ හේතුව බැලුවොත් ජීවිත ඉන්ද්‍රිය හේතුව බැලුවොත්
ඒ කියන්නේ ප්‍රතිසන්දි
ප්‍රතිසන්දිය කියන්නේ මොකද්ද?
ප්‍රතිසන්දි is also force.
එතකොට ජීවිත ඉන්ද්‍රියට ෆෝස් එක දුන්නේ කවුද?
කර්ම ශක්තිය.
කර්මය. එතකොට මේ කර්මය දැන් හරි කර්මය. හරි කර්මය දැන් මෙතන නවත්තලා මදි. කර්මය ඇති වුණ තැන කොහෙද? දැන් ඔය ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තර දෙන්න සමාධිය අර it has to be able to ප්‍රඥාව has to be able to discern. ඔය ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ ගන්න ප්‍රඥා has to be able to discern. It is fully out of discernment. Prajna Indriya. Where when the prajna takes that object, which is the question of what is the hetu for this? ඒ කර්මයේ හේතුව. ඒ කියන්නේ කර්මයේ හේතුව කිව්වම යන්නේ අතීතයට. That answer is derived, I've explained to you last week, in two ways. Through the Pubbe Nivasanusati, which is a jnana that is cultivated to the samatha, or the Vipassana Hetupala. Vipassana Hetupala. Now, as such, those conditions you see would be in a moment where volition arises, those set of conditions would be different. When volition is not there, but it is run over the force of karmic strength, which is jivita indriya, janaka karmaya, that then allows for this process to be, but however, the conditions are different. Okay? In the condition being different, owing to the fact that there is no volition to interact with this, but to see it as it truly is, then what energies we are affected by are henceforth different. Now, if we come to Vedana, carrying on with the same conversation, when an Vedana arises, okay, Phassa Pattaya Vedana. Because of contact, that Vedana occurs. In the occurring of that Vedana, the Buddha relates to being able to note, ඒ කියන්නේ මේ තියෙන මේ ධර්මතාවය කියන්නේ what is the dharmata? What is the dharmata? Exactly what is the dharmata? Now, we would say this is the nature of a rupa, this is the nature of a consciousness, this is the nature of a vedana. So that is the nature of that. But this nature, through the Buddha's highest wisdom, the Buddha attributes to to the fact that this nature too, if we are to take karma, this karma has a force behind it supporting and energizing the karma to expand and arise in the way that it uniquely and specifically does. And we know that karmas are of all sorts and manners, shapes and sizes, powers and weaknesses. Karmas as such, but we do not judge a karma as such. It's a karma. ඒ කියන්නේ පරමාර්ථයක් වශයෙන් ගත්තම මේ කර්මයක් මේක. මේ කර්මය judge කරන්නේ අපි to understand it. But when we say karma pachaya, it is a force. This force, in order to understand it better, this karma is conditioned by either a wholesome karma, unwholesome karma, or a wholesome karma or unwholesome karma. I'm sorry, there's nothing else.
Yes.
උපේක්ඛා කර්ම කියන්නේ නැහැ. Wholesome karma and unwholesome karma. Because of wholesome and unwholesome.
Bhante, avyakata karma is neither wholesome nor unwholesome.
Neither wholesome nor unwholesome karma කොයිද තියෙන්නේ?
අව්‍යාකත කියලා නේද කියන්නේ?
ඒ අභ්‍යාගත කර්ම නෙමෙයිනේ.
එහෙනම් මොකද්ද?
ඒක තමයි මටත් කියවෙන්න ගියේ. ඒත් ඒ අව්‍යාගත කියන එක කර්මයක් නෙමෙයි.
අව්‍යාකත මොකද්ද එහෙනම්?
කුසල අකුසල අව්‍යාකත
අව්‍යාකත.
කිව්වම මේක උපේක්ඛා.
කර්මයක් නෙවෙයිද?
එතකොට කර්ම ගණයක් නෙමෙයි ඒක. කර්මයක් මයින ගණයක් නෙමෙයි. කුසල අකුසල උපේක්ඛා අව්‍යාකත කුසල හෝ අකුසල නොවන. නැත්තම් අර දෙකට අහුල් නැති අව්‍යාකත.
අව්‍යාකත.
අර දෙකට සම්බන්ධයක් නැහැ. අව්‍යාකත. ඇයි? කුසල හෝ අකුසල නොවන හේතුවෙන් අව්‍යාකත. ඒත් අව්‍යාකත කර්මයක් අපි දකින්නවද? උපේක්ඛා වේදනා කර්ම විපාක තියෙනවා. ඒත් උපේක්ඛා විපාකන කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ. කුසල හෝ අකුසල විතරයි. That is why always when you're enacting something, it is either a kusala or akusala. It is not particularly at a time when one is meditating or whatnot. I think we have already established that long time ago. But however so, whatever state of mind, it is either, if it is running within a chitta viti, මේක එක්කෝ කුසලයක් වෙනවා නැත්නම් අකුසලයක් වෙනවා. So the Buddha's mechanism is to say, keep the mind invested in good things, in things that makes you flourish, in things that supports you towards nibbana, yoniso manasikara, in order to remove those conditions that can further support greater conditions of evil or akusala to take place in the mind. However, coming back to our conversation of the conditions, what are these conditions? According to the Buddha's deepest wisdom, these conditions, they can be karmayak, whatever karma that is, we are the people who judge, right? We are the people who experience it as a kusala karma, akusala karma. However, you see how many bad things in our lives do we go through, but ultimately, down the road, growing up or going through the years, you realize, my gosh, it's good that that happened to me. Now the akusala karma that you went through, you look at it in the back and you imagine actually a better thing couldn't have happened. And I'm sure that we can all relate to that. Personally. But now see, we are the ones who judge. Then එක කාලයක නරක දෙයක් වුණේ there, then හොඳයි. Because we have come on the condition, because we might be in a better place. But if we were not, then it would have been a separate kind of emotion that arises. But regardless, the fact is that we are the ones who made that determination. They're not. We are the ones who make that determination. Meaning, when we say we are the ones who make that determination, it is important for the yogi to note, then is it ditti? Then ඔය ඔක්කොම එනම් දෘෂ්ටියක්ද? ඔය ඔක්කොම එනම් දෘෂ්ටියක්ද? What do you think?
Ignorance,
දෘෂ්ටියක් තමයි ඔක්කොම.
vidya.
හැම එකම දෘෂ්ටිය.
Oh, I didn't want to say that myself. So thank you very much. හැමදේම ඔතකොට ඒ සියල්ලම දෘෂ්ටියක්. ඒ සියල්ලම දෘෂ්ටියක් වෙන හේතුව මොකක්ද? Why is all of that qualified as a ditti? Please.
අවිද්‍යාව හින්දා.
Avidya and ignorance.
Please, to the ones who don't understand this jargon, how can we explain? How can we give a full answer?
සත්‍ය නොදකින හින්දා.
Because
හරියට නොදකින නිසා.
නාම
they
රූප නාම රූප we are not thinking නාම රූප as
because there is self there. Self there. Because there is atta there. There is a self there. If
there is a self there. Because there's a self that we are still seeing the self. What else? Not seeing the Nama Rupa, Mali said, not seeing the Nama Rupa as they are. Not seeing the Nama Rupa as they are. Still holding, but at the end of the day, මෙන්න මේ වටේ තියෙන අපිට පේන අල්ලන්න පුළුවන් දේවල් අපිට අර මනෝ ලෝකෙට වඩා නැත්නම් ඒ ඉහළ ශක්තියට වඩා ඇත්ත වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ඇත්ත කියලා වෙන්නේ මේ දෘෂ්ටිය හින්දා. When you remind yourself, I'm living at this address, you straight away come down to the fact that I am actually living down this road on this address. මොන ලෝකෙ කියත්. But ඇත්තටම අර address එකේ කතාව ඒකයි බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ එතන කියන්නේ. There are two truths. සම්මුති සත්‍ය and පරමත්ත සත්‍ය. Whilst the paramatta is where we see the truths unfolding, the Sammuti Satcha is a Satcha. This Satcha, it should not be, because you realize if we make it a comparison of value between the two, the more value we give onto this Satcha, the lesser this becomes the all truth, the final. Because there will still be debate in the mind. Mekada ekada, mekada ekada. In seeing the Sammuti as what it is, that is in this birth, me jivite, according to conditions, this is the place. Then make a Sammuti Satya kunata dakina Paramartha Satya වැරදි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Do you understand? Up until ඒ කියන්නේ අපි කියමු coin by coin, you put into a till and you collect. You start collecting for something, let us say, right? Every day or every week or whatnot, you put something into it. Now you have a goal to reach. You have a goal to reach. Up until you wait till you are able to reach that goal, then make තාම ටිකයිනේ තියෙන්නේ කියලා ගලවනවා මේක. You remove it. ටිකයිනේ තියෙන කියලා remove කරනවා. තාම goal එක reach වෙලා නැහැ. දැන් ඒ පුරුද්දට හුරු වුණාම දැන් මේක ආපහු ගලවනවා දැන් අර goal එකට reach වෙන්නේ නැහැ. In a similar fashion, whilst we are trying to debate, what is more real, we have to have the wisdom in mind to balance both of them to know this is the Sammuti and the Paramartha is what we are trying to realize. It is not a done deal. The first meditation sitting, it is not concluded there. එතන judgment තියෙන්නේ. Are a conclusion, if there is a conclusion that comes, that is a judgment that has been passed. The yogi approaches this with openness in mind. When there is openness, it is very much, it could be more aligned with the alobha chitta that is able to see what one is experiencing, the paramartha of it. But once or whilst these conditions are taking place, for whatever reason, we see our Atma, me self, we have sort of pivoted into the Sammuti Satya. Up until we see make a avidyaවක් වශයෙන් දකින තාක්කල්, you will have to balance the sammuti and the paramatha for your own sake. Meaning, this is not to say you have to now do things in the sammuti. No, this is mind, the yonsu mansikara we are talking about here. සම්මුතියයි පරමාර්ථයයි ඔතකොට මෙතන බැලන්ස් කරන්න ඕන. Balance කරන්නේ again through what do we balance? The five faculties. Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna. The five faculties. Even as we see, let us say, the component of Samadhi in one's life as a nature, Samadhiය තියෙන මිනිස්සෙක් ජීවත් වන විදිය සමාධිය නැති මිනිස්සෙක් ජීවත් වන විදියට වඩා වෙනස්. The way that that person would take objects in their, or let us say, set goals for themselves. How people with samadhi would set goals for themselves, even in the sammuti world. It's different. Why? That is what the samadhi does. ඒ කියන්නේ සමාධිය තියෙනවා කියන්නේ නීවරණ යටපත් වෙලා. Even in our own daily lives, the focus that we can give to the things that are most important in this sammuti world, allows us to have a smooth practice when we are journeying or trying to realize a paramartha. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ සම්මුති ලෝකේ ප්‍රශ්න අඩු වෙන්න අපිට අර භාවනා කරලා නිස්කලංකේ භාවනා කරලා විදර්ශනාවක් වඩන්න තියෙන ඒ උපකාර ප්‍රත්‍ය ටික වැඩි. උපකාර ප්‍රත්‍ය ටික වැඩි. ඒත් මේ සියල්ලම අපි ගන්නවා නම් අපේ කර්මයක් වශයෙන් නැත්නම් අපේ තියෙන අදිබල a very strong kusala karma, if you're taking it as a very bad karmic effect that you're going through, or if you would have taken it as a great sort of kusala poise that you're going through a stage, both of them are mana, both of them are against the path. ඔතකොට මෙන්න මෙතන ලොකු කර හිතන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. මෙන්න මෙතන Mansikaren, with the balance of the indriyas, we observe. The ability now, according to these instructions, or any instructions of great monks who are teachers, before, all of that karmasthana, we must realize the more faculties of this balance of faculties can come right at this very moment. It does not need to come in a year or after a month of practice. It can come right at this very moment. But to get to that stage, we have to go through the process which makes us more comfortable with this. Whilst we may be embracing things in the sammuti world, when a person decides or determines to walk the path leading towards final liberation, nibbana, එදා ඉඳන් බුදුහාමුදුරු කියනවා ඒ කෙනා සමාදන් වෙනවා කියනවා. I forgot this sila yesterday as well. ආජීවට්ටමක සීලය. ආජීවට්ටමක සීලය. ඒ කියන්නේ the Buddha says a person who genuinely determines to saying, I want to make an effort, I want to attain nibbana, ඒ වෙලාවේ ඉඳන් ඒ කෙනා ආජීවට්ටමක සීලේ සමාදන් වෙනවා කියනවා. ආජීවට්ටමක සීල, that's very interesting, isn't it? Which speaks to the mind, but when you look deep into your heart and deep into what you've experienced as people who have been trying over and over again, been on this journey, you would see those moments of immense movement, immense strength, where at that very moment, everything else just disappears. All the bad, all the evil, all the bad, all the evil. And there arises this sense of sila, which comes over, overtakes, saturates your mind to say, I'm going to be disciplined. Then ඔය සීලය සමාදන් වෙනවා කියනවා. Because you realize in the Buddha's time, සිල් සමාදන් වෙන්නේ through determination. No one administers it. Right? No one administers it. So I remember when I read or came across this same passage before, I was under the impression that it was as if, okay, one makes a determination, goes near a monk, and then takes up the sila. But no, right? ඒ වෙලාවෙම සිතේ ඒ වෙලාවෙම හටගන්නා කියන මේ ආජීවක අට්ටමක සීල සමාදන් වීම. Yeah? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ දේවල් සම්මා දිට්ඨියත් එක්ක ඒ අදිෂ්ඨාන ඒ වෙලාවේ කරන අවස්ථාවේ. Because I don't want to be engaged with vain things or say things that are far from the truth or anything apart from the truth. Or there is no volition or energy in that person's mind to support such. So to support such, those are all conditions. We can choose to put in good positive conditions. Now, for example, there is a whole debate. It is a debate. May Sri Lankans, of course, because we are Sri Lankan, we speak more about things that happen in Sri Lanka because that is what we get in our feed. Sri
True,
Lankans
Bhante.
had this debate. Is it necessary to do the Gilampasa Puja? Is it necessary to do the incense and the Aloka Pujas? And is it necessary to do the, let us say, මොනවද අනිත් ඒවා? මේ Gilampasa
Puja.
Puja.
Mal puja?
Gilampasa වර්ග තියෙනවනේ නේද ඔය? මේ
බෙහෙත්
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 Gilampasa Puja is
බෙහෙත්
this debate. Yes, this debate. This debate about is it necessary? Okay. Now, how would you answer this question? Is it necessary?
Yes. We do it every day in the house. I do it, I don't know.
හරි දැන් හැමදාම ගෙදර කරන හින්දා ඔව් වෙන්නේ නැහැ සුජාතා.
Bante, it depends on the person and how much you progress. Because some people, that Shraddha is very important for them. And if they do, we had like this at London Mudiswar during the time we were there, Bante, then she's Opata. Always she gets into debate because she comes and says she's a very good lady. And she also takes with Pansil, not Arjivattuka, Pansil. And she says, Mama Hamadama Pansil Ganwa, Mam Pansilana Eka Mam Hondata Rakino. You think I matter so one when the berry. That and every day with one of the senior monks, all the other discussions stopped because she couldn't understand that if he took the Pansil and never broke it, that she won't become so one and one day Rahat. For some people like that, it is very vital that they do all these things and because their minds are at that level, Bante. But I think as you keep on progressing, Bante, the way when you're explaining what I see, that ultimately ara atta tina nisa, and that is the reason that all the judgment, the mane comes in, the unita manasikara comes in, the samadhitti comes in, all those factors feature together, and that is what finally whether this thing should be done or shouldn't be done. And it's a changing thing. As you progress and at different times, you might feel it differently. One day you might go somewhere to run very side and you might want to mal දැක්කම මට මේ නිලුමල පූජා කරන්න කියලා එහෙම හිතන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි හැමදාම ඒක එක තැනක ස්ථාවර දෙයක් නෙමෙයි ඒක වෙනස් වෙන දෙයක් එක එක්කෙනාගේ චරිත හැටියට
Depending on the person. Depending on the person.
And the time. And අර අත්ත තමයි එතන බේස් වෙන්නේ. How much we are stuck to that අත්ත නම්තේ.
Does anyone else have anything to say?
Yes, Bante.
Yes.
I have something to say. That is Ajiva Attamaka Sila. Is it all right to practice it daily,
Yeah.
to recite it?
Has
Because
I
I
it
thought
don't
you
become
already
part of your
were.
life?
I
You
thought
do
you
it
already
daily.
were, Sujata.
Oh,
no, I will tell you what happened to me really.
Huh?
You know, Vedana Mahamduru long years ago,
Yes.
Paraduriha,
yeah.
he gets crowds. And we always observe that this Attamaka Sila. Yeah? So
Yeah.
I got used to it so much. Even at home, when I go to the temple, even I those I have those nine stanzas in my mind all the time, and I do it. Sometimes I feel I'm overdoing things, but again it comes to my mind back again.
Mm.
So actually, Bante, I've been practicing that. Whether I'm a good person or not, I don't know, but a lot of I feel not very happy in that.
Mm. Mm. So, Ajiva Attamaka Sila, thank you,
Yes,
Sujata.
yes, Bante. I just
Now,
wanted to ask somebody about this because sometimes I feel Panchasila is a thing that's a common thing about everybody. Now I am being an indifferent person. I followed it because of Adidam Mahamduru long years ago. I was a university student, quite young at that time. So that's how it
yeah,
all happened. I wanted just to tell you that.
may,
බන්තේ හේනපළ ගුණරත්න ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ ලංකාවේ අපිට රිට්‍රීට් කරන අවුරුදු ගානක් all of us including most mainly the white people they wanted to Sri Lankan 50 දෙනෙක් විතර හිටියා අපිට ඔක්කොම ආජීවට්ටම් දීලා මොකද authenticity එක වැඩි වෙනවා අර මුසාවාද පරසවාද පිසනවාද සම්ප්‍රපලාප වෙනවා ඕකනේ වෙන්නේ ආජීවට්ටම්කට වෙනස් වෙන්නේ එතකොට අපි ඒක හැමදාම ඒක ඩිටර්මින් කරුවාම හිතට මොනවද තර වෙලා මොන හරි වචනයක් කියන්න හරි කවුරු හරි කෙනෙකුට කේලමක් කියන්න යනකොට අරක උඩේ කියලා
That's
තියෙනවා
correct.
හිතට එකපාරට එනවා. එතකොට
That's
ඒක එතන ඩිසිප්ලින් එක ටිකෙන් ටික වැඩි වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ පටන් ගත්ත පස්සේ ඔක්කොම මේ කට්ටිය වෙන දත කරනකොට හැම එකනම මේ ආජ්‍ය වට්ටකම එක දිගටම ඒක කරගෙන යනවා. ඉතින් ගෙදර හැමදාම කරන්න මොකද දවල්ට කණ්ඩ වන්ද කර අනිකේ උස්තැනක ඉඳලා අනික අර සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි අටසිල් ගන්න වලින් වෙනස් වෙන ඒ කන්ඩිෂන්ස් එක ඒක නෑ මේක තියෙන ඔතෙන්සිටි එක තමයි ඩිටර්මිනේෂන් එකයි how you ඒක තමයි මේකෙන් හරි දියුණුවක් වෙන්නේ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ. ඉතින් අපිට නම් කියලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ විදිහට කරගෙන යන්න කියලා. ඒකෙන් මොකද අර මම
yes. All right, Dil. Thank you. Thank you. Now, coming back to the Vedana in the sense of the condition, that condition, of course, the conversation about the necessity of the rites or the offerings. These are also conditions that are added into our life and nurture or nourish our life. While some people may require this strength that comes into their life, there may be others who derive strength from other wholesome sources as well. So, whilst the conversation, I think, in the East trying to become more like the West, we take up thought that is, we think, is always logical. But it is very illogical to assume that the logical is only manipulated and influenced by that which you can see and understand. The condition of strength behind it is also present, which is the force by which this whole enterprise, this whole social enterprise, whole of samsara works. Now, for example, if we would take a Vedana, a sensation at any given point, this sensation would have what kind of energies supporting this sensation? Number one, if you would think a sensation arises as we, let us say, experience it. If the mind is focused upon the tip of the nostrils, as the air goes in, travels in because of the vacuum that is created in the body through organic function, we assume or we can see the breath. The breath is experienced or known because of the, the feeling, the Vedana that is associated with it. Hence, we have the Sanya that relates to it as the breath. The Vedana that arises here, it arises at that moment to take the object that touched at the body base. It arose because of, let us say, the condition of the mano aggregates, the mind aggregates, the mental aggregates. Because of the mental aggregates, the Vedana is present. Am I right, everyone?
Yes.
Am I
Yes,
right to
sir.
say so? Right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, Vedana, for Vedana to arise, Chitta must be present. Chitta is codependent with the other Vedanas, with the other mental factors.
Okay.
Chaitasika Dhammas. With this Vedana, Sanya also comes. Now, this moment, as they arise together, again, Manasa, Chaitasika, Chitta, Chaitasika, and this particular Vedana. Hari, then මෙතන තියෙන ප්‍රත්‍ය සහජාත ප්‍රත්‍ය සහජාත ශක්තිය. Do you understand? සහජාත ශක්තිය. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ වේදනාව හටගන්නේ සහජාත ශක්තියෙන්. What does that tell you?
මොකද්ද මන් දන්නේ ඇත්තට.
What does that tell you? Please. මගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න.
Conditions are born together. The conditions are born condition and the unconditioned, those two are paccaya upanna paccaya කියලා තියෙන condition state and the conditioning state.
Don't go too far. Just listen to what I'm saying right now, Del.
They are born together.
The force. Hari, the force. Remember that paccaya and paccaya sati is the same. The force.
Yes, but the condition is born at the same together with the condition.
Sahajata is where yes. The definition of that is Sahajata is where it arises together. Arises together. It is taken. So the Vedana arises as a point. What is that? Transparent. It is like a camera. Again, we use the camera, the light flashing the moment the trigger is done, the lens, the light upon the film that captures that moment.
විඥාන පච්චය
Also,
රූපද බන්තේ උතන.
ඒ
උතනට කියන්නේ
විඥාන
පච්චය නාම රූපනේ උතන.
Okay. අපි එතනට ගියොත් විඥාන පත්‍ය රූප එතනට ගියොත් අපි පොයින්ටින් යනවා. දැන් මේක සහජාත. ඒ කියන්නේ එකට හට ගන්නවා සහජාත වූ හේතුෙන් දැන් බලන්න අපි හිතනවා වේදනාව is solid. We think the Vedana is solid. The Vedana is real. There is a itch. There is a itch whilst you're meditating. And the itch is getting stronger. Why is it? How is the itch getting stronger? Because you are portraying it as giving an itch a self. Right? Hence, it is getting stronger. Now, it is as if the itch is getting worse, like some being there getting worse. No. Vedana. Vedana is sahajata. When Vedana is sahajata, එතකොට මේ වේදනාවත් හටගත්තේ අනිත් because of the support of the rest of the mano aggregates. This Vedana arose with the support of the rest of the mind aggregates, without which this Vedana would not be here. Like a piece of carbon paper, isn't it? Carbon paper. We've not seen one in a bit, I'm guessing. The one that you use for carbon paper.
To write a check.
For receipts and for...
check එකක් ලියනකොට check එකක් ඉස්සර කාලේ checks ලියනකොට carbon.
ඒක තමයි. Like a carbon paper. As you apply pressure to that moment, at that moment, but that pressure, you can't imagine that blue sort of powdery whatever that is written comes out of nowhere. No, it comes because of that paper and that pressure that is applied through the pen. It comes because of it, supported by it, conditioned by it. It is not one arising. It is an arising conditioned by three other factors. Hence, එතන ආත්මය එතනම අපිට පේන්න පුළුවන් සහජාත ප්‍රත්‍යයෙන්ම that this Vedana is a manifestation. Does that make sense? එතන සහජාත ප්‍රත්‍ය.
Bande තින්නං සංගති පස්සෝ කියලා තුනක්, three factors arising as causes.
හරි.
And
තින්න
Vedana.
සංගති පස්සෝ අවස්ථාවටත් මේක ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක ගන්න පුළුවන් කියන්නේ තින්නම් සංගති in the moment where which is known as තින්නම් සංගති පස්සෝ, here it arises, passa has arisen, is a moment where the pasada rupa, the sensitive matter, the object and the mind comes together. At that moment there's sahajata pachaya as well. Right? At that moment, the may avasthave, through this method of analysis, Shiroma, if you notice, we observed it through the five skandhas. The five skandhas. Then Rupa skandhi thinama. What is a Rupa skandha here? If we are taking, let us say, a silhouette of clothing, a piece of clothing touching against, or let us say, the air brushing against the skin, creating a Vedana. Creating a Vedana there. At that moment, Rupa is that external bit there, we can say, but whilst that is been external as a fact of the Rupa Skandha, the Vedana arises supported by the fact of the mind, because the mind takes that trace, but not alone. We see it as one specific experience, but that experience is being supported, held, maintained, remembered with the support of three other aggregates. What are they? Sanya. Vedana is what we are talking about. So Vedana is already the middle of the discussion, the center point. This Vedana is supported by Sanya, Kanda. Sanya, Kanda. When Sanya Kanda comes to play, what happens? You remember the Vedana in a perspective, respective angle. You remember it in a certain way. එතනින් තමයි දෘෂ්ටියට. When you take it as mine, or if you give it a self, then it propels into ditti, further ditti sankara forward. But when we see it as for what it is, just a simple unfolding, that is a fact of sahajata pacha, simply a Vedana experience. But that experience is not oneself. The Vedana is not, let us say, the force of the wall. The Vedana arises in the mind, supported by three other aggregates. One, Sanya, that is the way that we remember it. The other is the consciousness. The consciousness, Vijnana Kanda, right? Which is the chitta, the consciousness itself. But this consciousness and this Vedana affects more others. What are they? The whole compendium of the Chetasikas that arise at that moment, all of which is the Sajata Pratya. Between them, now Sajata, they arise together. They arise together. When they do arise together, they support one another. That is called Anyamanya Pratya, mutuality condition, you see. Right? Mutuality condition. Right? When there is always a condition that comes together with another condition, this condition has an effect upon this condition in most tenses. Right? Especially if it arises together. Arises together. That we call, that is, why does it have a condition? That is a force. That is the Shakti. That is the Shakti. That support, now Anyamanya Pratya, there is a linkage. Sahajata, they arise together. Anyamanya, mutuality, there is a linkage, right? They're co-born or they're born dependent on one another. Do you understand? Born dependent on one another. The first one, Sahajata, was they arise together. The second one, mutuality, is that they are born codependent upon one another. When there is codependence, there is support. If a codependent phenomena arises, then towards the length of that arising and upon to ceasing, there needs to be support. Hence, there is Nisaya Pachaya, support condition. This support is also a Shakti. Do you understand? This support is also a Shakti. When this moment of Vedana arises there, Vedana to support karma. Support karma. For the Vedana to exist, there is support. Where do you think that support came from? Where do you think that support came from? I could ask that of the others as well. Mutuality, Sahajata, where do you think that support came from? Any idea? We discussed this earlier as well, but I'm rewording it right now. Where did that support come from?
Sanyaskanda.
Sorry?
Bante,
Bante.
Bante, it is the decision to support it, the Upanishapatya. You are
Avijja
telling.
and Tanha. Avijja Tanha. අවිද්‍යාවෙන් තණ්හා කරුණු හේතුවෙන් තමයි මේ සපෝට් හැදෙන්නේ. හරි? And we are the ones who do that. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට අපි කියමු අනවශ්‍ය සිතුවිලි මාලාවකට අපි ඉඩ දෙනවා. We allow for an unwanted pattern of thought to continue in our mind. You know, I do not have to explain to you what happens there. You know very well how that feels like. Why is that? Because you allowed it to proliferate. Why did you allow it to proliferate? You saw some sort of illusionary self there. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක ඇත්තක් කියලා හිතුවා. When you see self, you think that this is the truth. That this is something which is there. හරි? That is a self, everyone. Now self, ශිරෝ මේ අපි ශිරෝමා ගත්තු ශිරෝම කියලා හිතන්නේ නැහැ. බන්තේ කියලා හිතන්නේ නැහැ. ඩිල් කියලා හිතන අවස්ථාවල් නෙමෙයි ආත්මය. මේක ඇත්තයි කියලා ගන්නවා. We take it as the truth. Do you understand? That is the Atma. This truth, who do I consider this a truth to? To my skanda, all of my aggregate. To my aggregate, this is truth. What helps in the determination of that truth? The sanyakanda. If this is something that is lovable to me, for example, let us say, you see someone coming into your house. If this person is someone that is familiar as being a person living in your house, then there is no issue. But the moment the sanya is off, where you do not recognize this person, now it creates strife. Now it creates strife in your mind. Why? Because of the sanyakanda. That's why that sanyakanda is very important. Also why you use this sanya to attribute things to yourself. The moment that you think that this is the absolute gospel truth, then it's done. Already Atma. In what are the circumstances? So Bante, what are you trying to say? How are we trying to be at this moment? Right? Is it in saying that everything apart from the Paramattha is not true? No. It is not taking that object as final. Do you understand? Now that object that arose, let us say this is a mental object. The mental object is where you've gone through an object, you've come into a certain conclusion about the object. When we hold that the conclusion to that object is the absolute final truth, there the self has been taken and accepted. But when the mind is open, not bound by a self, but more open, there the potential, the possibilities are present. Possibilities are present. Do you understand? This possibility, whatever that possibility might be, it does not matter to this person. Again, this person is not too worried about what the end possibility might be, but understands all possibilities. Do you understand? Mekina Dandava, these are the things that could happen. But this knowing of potential is not worrying to this person. But he knows. That is the power of discernment that comes there. With the wisdom, you're able to see how is that wisdom able to unfold through, of course, the practice that we do, the Yoniso Manasikara, the bringing of mind to that adjustment. That Shakti Avijja Tanha supporting Nisaya Pachaya. Now, this Vedana of this moment, now we are only talking about the Vedana. This Vedana of this moment is associated, Somanasa Vedana Sampayutta, Somanasa Sagata Dittigata Sampayutta Asankarika. Or Somanasa Sahagata Jnana Sampayutta Vipayutta Asankarika Sasankarika. The variations, you see, Vedana. Vedana can arise in a akusala chitta, in a akusala mind. Vedana can arise in a positive, a wholesome mind as well. Hence, Vedana for what it is, Vedana changes according to, or the way the Vedana changes, the Vedana changes according to what it is associated with. Now, if the sanya, let us say, the sanya aggregate, the perception aggregate, takes a certain mental component or a thought to mind. Thought to mind. And this thought has a Vedana. As you're going through this thought, let us say it's a Vedana. This Vedana can arise, let us say this is a positive, wholesome thought. How is it wholesome? How does it become a wholesome thought? Because of the associated factors, right? Because of the associated factor, one of those factors being Chetana, for example, Yonsu Mansikara, Ayonsu Mansikara, those mental factors, isn't it? Are you all with me? Yeah?
Yes.
Those mental
Yes.
factors,
Yes.
right? Those mental factors makes it what it is. Hence, the Vedana as it arises in the way that it arises, or however that it presents or manifests in this moment, what it is it exists supported by the rest. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Nisaya Pachaya associated with the rest. They are not only, there is Nisaya Pachaya supporting it, but the Vedana is also this Vedana because it is associated with all the rest of the aggregates. Do you understand? All the rest of the aggregates, all the rest of the chittas, the chetasikas, chitta or the chetasika. What do we understand when it's associated in this manner? Hence, whatever Vedana that is presented, whatever feeling in whichever way it is presented to the mind when it is processed, is a byproduct of what it is associated by. Do you understand? Odukote, that Atma that I considered the the sense of position and solidity that I saw in this singular Vedana, now I see is so. How? Because it is associated with all the rest of the chittas and the chetasikas that arise, associating that particular Vedana. That is a Vedana chetasika.
Bante, what you are now been describing is those ඉස්සරහට universal හතරනේ දැන් ඔය contact අපි ගැන දැන් කියන බන්තේ බොද්ද contact we started with the පටිච්චසමුප්පාද the passa feeling එක චේතන and the perception which comes together then the volition which is the chetana life faculty එක I think Damayanti or somebody first mentioned about the ජීවිතින් the first I think it was Hemamali and the attention the යෝනිසෝ මනසිකාර ඉතින් අර ඉස්සරහා අර උඩම තියෙන හතක් අර universal කියලා චේතසික එටිකලි වේරියබල් අනිත් සමාන අන්න ඔය හත තමයි දැන් ඔය බන්තේ එකෙන් එකට ගලපලා පෙන්වන්නේ. They are the ones which are associated. දැන් ඔය එක උත්තරවලට
They are the ones that are associated.
associated.
And because of that association, when we see a Vedana for what it is, right? When we are taking, let us say, a hammer, being your stumping your thumb with a hammer, right? That moment. That Vedana, right? You are akin to the hammer, right? This Vedana, and it's solid and it is felt. And we akin that to that experience. Again, this whole experience is an experience that is, that was, that is happening. And that is as a result, I'm experiencing the plight of it. Are you with me? Right? We've all had that experience, I'm guessing. At that moment, whatever now, I'm going through this Vedana. You've all gone through a Vedana, right?
Yes.
When you're going through that Vedana, imagine you think like, have you ever had this pain where it's like a ball in your chest or your tummy, right? And you're going through something.
Yeah.
Now, that Vedana or something around, you're going through that Vedana, right? That feeling. Now, that feeling, it arises associated with so much other. You feel it as a ball in your tummy or your chest is because it's all given so much of life. You've gone beyond the vision or the discernment of wisdom into giving it real life. You're actually going through it. But when you are going through it, whatever that you are going through is because of all the things that are associated with that specific Vedana. Associated. Do you understand?
Yes.
Associated. Then when you observe that Vedana, this Vedana, it might seem like a great mountain. But the great mountain is not clearly not made up completely of the Vedana. Do you see? It's not complete. It's made up because of the association, sampayutta pachaya, association with all of the rest of the mental factors and the chitta. Does that make sense? This is where the yogi sees me වේදනාව අපි හිතනවා මහා ලොක්කෙක් කියලා. අපි හිතනවා මහා බලගතු දෙයක් කියලා. ඒත් මේ බලය මේ බස්සන විදියේ අනාත්මය හරහා. Specifically මේ ප ဋ ාණේ ප්‍රත්‍ය මෙව්වා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ දේවල් දැන් අපි හැම වෙලෙම ආනොට ඇයි මේ දේ වෙන්නේ? මෙව්ව ප්‍රත්‍යයෙන්. ඒ කර්මයන් ඒ වැඩ කරන කර්මයන් වුණත් ප්‍රත්‍ය කියන්නේ ශක්ති. මේ ශක්ති හදන්නේ කවුද? කර්මය, අවිද්‍යාව, තණ්හාව තියෙන පුද්ගලයෝ. The people with avidya and tanha, the ones who made the karma. When the karma is made, the shakti is made, the force. The force enacts at the time it enacts. When we are stuck on the level of karma, now I'm trying to adjust my karmas, which is also good. Right? Which is also good if people are, that is what the Buddha also says. Take as example these karmas and make amends for them in order to find enlightenment. The mental karmas in the same manner, the mental karmas, happy karma, the physical karmas. No, what about mental karmas? What about the karmas of always doubting people? What about the karmas associated with anger arising or lust arising or delusion arising or always seeing things in a particular fashion and not being able to see eye to eye with many people or not being able to carry on a kind and compassionate conversation? What about those aspects? We are only thinking about the karmas which affects the amount in our bank account or how well we are seen by society. But those other things that I mentioned before are also karmas. We see karmas as, for example, let us say the health issues that we undergo. But the mind, the health issues in the mind, can also be manifestations of, they are manifestations of karmas. How do we know? Because of the fact that we know Chitta Viti now. Because we have studied Chitta Viti. You know exactly whatever type of Chitta that arises, when a Vipaka arises, when a Kamma comes to light, a Vipaka, that is a Vipaka that forms the object of the mind. ඒ ශක්තියෙන් තමයි අරමුණ ගන්නෙ. ඒ ශක්තියෙන් තමයි අරමුණ ගන්නෙ. So when, let us say, a kusala අහේතුක චිත්ත presents an object, it is said, you cannot say that these are ahetukas, they have no sort of energy whatsoever. They are ahetuka, they have small energy but not strong. But those energies, they say, when a kusala object is taken into the sense basis, there is a sense of comfort at the sense basis. එහෙම කියනවා. එහෙම කියනවා. If a kusala object arises, ඒ කියන්නේ ලස්සන සද්දයක් හැවුනම, kind words. අර ඒ kind words ඇහෙන කනට සනීපයක් ඒක.
ඔබ වහන්සේගේ ධර්ම දේශනාව.
ඕනෝ. මේ ඒ කර්මයක් සනීපයක් කියලා කියනවා. ඒක ප්‍රත්‍යක් හින්දා. Because it is a pratya. How do we know? Because that kusala, that good sound is heard because of the ahetu kusala, rootless kusala. If it is a bad, it is a rootless akusala. When a rootless akusala arises, when that sound is heard, also there is a bit of a disruption to the ear. ඒ කියන්නේ that object arising is it doesn't arise with the same sense of comfort. Not to say that your ear is going to ache, but it might. But it might.
Bante, that's why they say that when you experience either a good thing or a bad thing, for everyone that's different, that are සතියෙන්, if you are very mindful all the time, they tell you that to look at are unsatisfactory, the satisfactory. All of a sudden, you know, it was very nice and something happened. That sudden change, of course, you have to keep on practicing mindfulness at the time when you're not meditating also, to feel that something changed. And some people feel it in the head, depending on the chakra, some feel it in the throat, some in the chest, some gripe in the stomach. එතන discomfort එකක් එනවා, නිකන් gripe එකක් වගේ යාන්ත, and කන එච්චර year එකක් නෙමෙයි, පොඩි slight. ඉතින් ඒකට aware වෙන්න පුළුවන් නම්, අර සතිය වැඩි කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්, ඒ මොහොතේම ඒක දැනනවාම, එතකොට අපි දන්නවා මෙතන අපේ චේතසිකවල අර.
Yes, now that is the virya approach.
Yeah.
If you take that approach into the indriyas, that's the virya approach. So yes, the virya approach works. Shraddha, there is in other ways for others who might take other approaches. Saddha, sati, viri, the other indriyas are also there. But if I may finish, the rest of the pratyas, for the moment Vedana arises, Sahajata pratyaya, Anyamanya pratyaya, Nissaya pratyaya, Sampayutta pratyaya, associated condition, Anitthaka. Why is this here? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ වේදනාව පවතින්නට, මේ වේදනාව පවතින්නේ ඇයි? මේ වේදනාව පවතින්නේ මනසක් පවතින හේතුවෙන්. මේ මනසට මේ අරමුණ ගන්න පුළුවන් හේතුවෙන්. ඔතකොට ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී මේ මනස ඇති හේතුවෙන්, as long as the chittas and the chetasikas are present in the mind, මේක පවතිනවා. Do you understand? As long, so when you ask yourself the question, this Vedana is persisting, Attipachaya, because the Vedana is persisting, Anitara Chitta Chaitasika Dharmyan Meka Tekka Pavatina Takal me Vedana Pavatino. Till the mind and the mental factors arise and ceases, Vedana will arise and cease then. ඒ දේවල් තියෙන හේතුවෙන් වේදනාව පවතිනවා අත්තිපච්චය. Do you understand? Does that make sense? අත්තිපච්චය. අර දේවල් නැති වුණේ ගමන්ම no වේදනා. When those things disappear, those supporting conditions, the support, the associations, when all of them cease, the Vedana will cease. So Vedana is not a being, a self, a real object that can do as it wishes and pleases. It is a conditioned phenomena proliferated by the other aggregates only due to the avidya and tanha conditions that are existent in our mind. At any given point when a Vedana arises, there is also this sixth condition, which is the fact that whatever that has arisen by the grace of that which exists, it exists Atipachya. By the fact that it has not disappeared, this exists Avigata Pachaya. Do you understand? Huh? Because of the fact that the chittas and the chetasikas arose, the Vedana is present. Attipachaya. Because of the reason or the force that the fact that the chittas and the chetasikas haven't yet ceased, Avigata Pachaya, it is still present. Does that make sense? You see, at any point of the Vedana, these six conditions of the Patthana, ඒ හේතුවෙන් තමයි මේ වේදනාව හටගන්නේ. ඒ හේතුවෙන් තමයි මේ වේදනාව මෙතන තියෙන මේ වේදනාව ඇත්ත දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. This Vedana is not what it seems in reality. This Vedana is something that can be conquered and mastered. One does not need to sway dependent upon the Vedana. Okay, everyone. Any questions?
Bante,
No.
just a thought, I might be all wrong. Etanara Vedanava, with all that pachayas, now we see how it is, arose and is being held there, happening. And then continuation of that Vedana happening, arising, passing, but continuation එකට දර ඉස්සරහට යන්නේ මේක නිසා මේක නිසා මේක කියලා අනන්තර සමනන්තර කියලා එනවා දෙතනට. ඒකත්
Anantara Samanantara, මේ අවස්ථාවේ, how do you think Anantara and Samanantara can be a condition in this example?
Now like Anantara Samana Anantara I understood as then thought wave එකක් thoughts ගත්ත thing thought wave එකක් ඇවිල්ලා thinking happens that this thought gives rise to the next one, of course arising passing, this one to the next one, this one to the next one, දිගට යනවා, one become the cause, one become the effect. නිකන් පෝලි මේ අර මේ ඩොමිනෝස් කාඩ්ස් වගේ යන ඒකද මම හිතුවේ අනන්තර කියලා. In the sense of thought thinking pattern. So it just came to me now following all the practice up to how it is held. And now it's held and it is continuing this because අවිද්‍යාවයි තණ්හාවයි තියෙනකන් මේක අනේ මට රිදෙනවා කිය වැඩි වෙනවනේ මේ දිගට යන්නේ එක යන්නේ ප්‍රත්‍යක් නිසා වෙන්නේ නැතිනේ.
දිගටම යන හේතුව, if you say now in the case of the Vedana arising, there is no Anantara Pachaya.
Okay.
ඇයි අනන්තර පච්චයක් නැත්තේ? Because අනන්තර සමනන්තර applies to a condition where there is මේ ළඟ proximity. ළඟ proximity. මේ condition එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ the preceding consciousness. Now, if you are to take a javana, there is anantara paccha, continuity of mind. But here there is no continuity because it can be different minds. It doesn't belong into a particular chitviti. You can be observing the Vedana can flutter away and you can start observing something else, isn't it? See, there is no Anantara Pacha.
I get it, because there needn't be a continuity.
When the impulsions occur,
so there is Anantara Pacha.
Yeah.
Here, every arising is a different arising.
Every arising is a different arising, dependent upon the six conditions of how it arises and what energy support it. Never this one breath is never the same, one mind is never the same, one Vedana is never the same. And you know that.
Mm. Mm.
Right. It is never the same. Why isn't it ever the same? Because it isn't.
Mm.
Because it isn't. Why isn't it? Because the energies that support it vary. Then බලන්න Vedana is so dependent. Vedana arises conditioned by Sahajata, Anyaman, Sahajata, Anyamanya, Nisaya, Sampayutta, Atti, Avigata. These six energies, forces, is what gives rise to one particular Passapacha Vedana.
Mm.
That is the depth to which, and we, that to which the Buddha has explained it, and we are the ones that assume our self එකට දාලා this is a ice cream. එතන හිර වෙලා ඉන්නවා. You see? අර
Mm.
convention එකේ හිර වෙලා ඉන්නවා. when convention එකේ හිර වෙලා ඉන්නවා කියන්නේ දැන් අපි කියමු ice cream එකද ice cream එකද යම්කිසි ධර්මයක්ද කියලා. දැන් ඔය සාකච්ඡා අයිස්ක්‍රීම් එක්ක ධර්මයේ කියාවි සමහර කට්ටිය. අයිස්ක්‍රීම් කකා ධර්මය. ඒ වුණාට no, if you had to choose one, if you had to choose one, and in any ways that the ice cream becomes in any way, let us say, delightful, you can be rest assured that that is because of that Atma that one sees in the ice cream and what it could do for you. And the sensation, you know the sensation, and you want to come Atma. ඒ කියන්නේ you කලින් කාලා තියෙනවා. ඒකේ වේදනාව මෙහෙම වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා දන්නවා. ඒ ආත්මය ආපහු වින්දනය කරන්න තියෙන ආසාව. ඒ ආත්මයම ආපහු වින්දනය කරන්න තියෙන ආසාව.
Then one contact, one passaya, 6 pachya saktis.
Yeah. තව කියන්න පුළුවන් depending upon the occasion we can add more into this as well. But මේ 6 අනිවාර්යෙන්ම එනවා. Isn't it?
Thank you. That's so profound, Bante.
Bante, this is the first time that I have heard, I'm sorry, Sahajata, from connaissance to go to mutuality to Nisaya, and then Atti, I think, and then Avigata. This is the first time I have ever heard it explained like that, Bante. Because normally what we think is, I used to think, right, everything is because there is
more accessible, isn't it?
Yeah, because otherwise you think I blanketly the way I do it, because of that, අපිට මේක අර ඉස්සර experience එක මේක තිත්තයි මේක හොඳයි එක ඒව එනවා. ඉතින් හැබැයි we have to break it down some more, go further deep to realize that is only our view. තව යනකොට ඕකත් නැති බව පේනවා. To go from
absolutely
and to go from absolute, to go from conventional to absolute. That is what we are doing here. But what we have to realize, අපිට කොහොමද තේරුණත් අහා කියලා මොමන්ට් එකක් ආවත් මේකත් තාම මේ යන මාර්ගයේ තාම
ඒ ශක්තිය උඩ තමයි අපි දුවන්නේ. ඒ ශක්තිය උඩ තමයි අපි දුවන්නේ. ඔය ශක්තියට අපිට වැඩි හොඳ ශක්තියින් එකතු කරා ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. නැත්තම් අපිට නරක ශක්තියින් ඕකට එකතු කරා ගන්න පුළුවන්. දවස පුරාම. දැන් ඔය විදිහට අපි බැලුවොත් අපිට හරි ලේසි කියලා මට හිතෙනවා. නිගමනය කරාගන්න මොන ශක්තියින්ද අපි එකතු කරාගන්න ඕන, මොන ශක්තියින්ද අපි ජීවිතේ නැත්තම් අර පන්දමින් නැති කරාගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඒ ශක්තිය අනුව මේක අපි ඉස්සරහට යනවා. දැන් ඒ අවස්ථාවේ වුණත් even in the moment of වේදනා, ඒ වේදනාවත් මේක ශක්තියක් උඩ ශක්තියක් හින්දා ඒ ශක්තිය තණ්හාව අවිද්‍යාවෙන් කන්ඩිෂන් හේතුව මෙතන පවතිනවා. හරි. So I will leave you all to contemplate on that. I will put this recording up and I will put the other recordings up as well.
And Bante, yesterday's recording, I just couldn't get.
Yes, I will put all of those recordings up as well. I'm sorry for the delay. I have got some messages from some of you asking for it. Well, I will do it. But that is all from me for today, everyone. Tomorrow, tomorrow.
Monday.
Sorry.
Tomorrow is Monday. We have a session with you.
Yeah, tomorrow there is a class. Yes.
Yes. We have a session tomorrow, and tomorrow's session is going to be Sutra, the Satipatthana. Okay.
We are continuing
Thank you,
with that soon.
everyone. Yes. Hari, enang okumlata teruwan saranai.
Teruwan Saranai Bante.
Everyone, Saranai Bante.
Sarnai Bante, Sarnai.